I understand all the pressure points and all the political inflammation, but how was it that faculty members decided to be so demonstrative and so, like, again, this example of let's talk about the election in classes where there is no topical reason to do so. I mean, of course, that was guidance that you're saying was coming down from administrators to
People would
faculty.
have done it anyways, I'm sure. But yes, in my case, there was actually guidance to do that. But, I think for some people, the politics and the issues involved in something like a presidential election, they just view them as, so critical to their existence that they're literally personally devastated by the election result. And when you go into class the next day, and you recall that in that election, at first I believe it looked like Hillary Clinton was going to win, which is what everyone expected to happen. And by the end of the night, you could see things starting to turn. And, I remember staying up quite late and still not being quite sure what was going to happen. And, so people woke up the next day and they learned that Donald Trump, who, a lot of people obviously just absolutely hated and did not want to win the election, and a lot of college professors would fit into that category. They just woke up to what for them was devastating news. And then maybe 2 hours later, you're in your math class and, you just can't even think straight. Maybe you get this message from the administration saying that you should talk about it, not only that you're free to, but that you should. And also, they college campuses, a lot of them are political bubbles. So you're not ever really confronted with people who have extremely serious political disagreements or different points of view. And so there is, and this was quite evident after 2016, that there's this tendency to assume that everyone in the room more or less agrees. And the same thing applied to the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. It was just assumed that most people would more or less agree with this, and this is the right thing to do. And it's really just a question of how we're going to do this, not a question of what approach we're, whether we're going to do it or whether everybody has to do it. And, and a lot of that bureaucratic apparatus was already built into the universities by that time too. So once there was an opening to sort of push this stuff, a lot more, they of course took that opening. And
Higher education seems to be a train wreck. First, a very basic question. Are people learning anything anymore?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think people still are. I think that, there's a way at a lot of places to sort of wind your way through the institution and get a great education. Certainly, I think if you're taking programs in STEM or, STEM related fields, engineering, nursing, there's obviously a lot of great programs where people are coming out and they're, quite able to do these professions. There's obviously some concerns these days that certain kinds of considerations are working their way into these programs as well that, aren't based on, things like merit and excellence and that sort of thing. As far as the humanities and the social sciences go, I think that's a little bit different. And I do think that it's valuable to think about different parts of the university. I mean, I myself, especially on Twitter, when you've only got a short number of characters, I'll treat the whole thing as sort of, this university said this or did this, that sort of thing. But I do think we have to look at the various parts of the university and ask ourselves, which parts of these are still making productive contributions to society, are offering students a solid education, which schools, which programs. But I think that there are, some certainly in the humanities and the social sciences where, it's highly questionable what the value is that students are getting out of it, unless they come in super knowledgeable and are able to sort of make their way through in terms of which courses should they take, which professors are there to work with. But, in my experience, that's very few people.